be your own CMO, your own chief marketing officer. And what that means is from a high level, you need to be understanding and guiding the messaging that is being sent to the public about who you are and what you do. And if you as the dentist just say, hey, find me new patients, and you say this to your front desk or even directly to your marketing company, and then you wash your hands of it and just get frustrated when you don't have new patients, it's not the advertising company's fault. So a big part of it comes from writing your own perfect Google review. Write a really, really long Google review. What is that patient saying about the practice, about their experience, about what they had done? And that Google review will then help guide how you want to communicate and draw those patients in. So that's kind of a foundational, at least get that kind of worksheet item taken care of. And that will help guide that vision and help them answer some of the other questions that a marketing company might be asking.
Welcome back to another episode of Dental Marketing Theory. I'm your host, Gary Bird. I'm the owner of SMC National, where we help offices just like yours level the playing field against the big guys out there so you can grow the way that you want, but you can't grow if you don't even know what you want when it comes to new patients. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking with Dr. Ben Friberg, who's a dentist and a practice coach, and has recently just dropped his new book, The 7-Figure Practice Blueprint, and Don't Be Beige. And he's going to talk down how to actually break down your avatar and how he helps his clients do this. And he shares some of the things that he's done to make himself unique. And at the end of the show, he's going to tell you how he cleared his schedule of unprofitable patients and filled back in with new marketing patients. This was really, really good. I love this. I'm going to be talking about this and definitely giving him credit for it. You're not going to want to miss this episode. It will help you grow and help you get to the next level. Stay tuned. All right, we are live. And recently I had a conversation with a client. Actually, I didn't talk with them. My team did. And the doctor outsourced all of their marketing. They outsourced it, first of all, to a front desk person. And then the front desk person was working with marketing companies, multiple marketing companies. We happen to be one of them. And the person came to us and said, hey, Gary, we want to just delete everything, get rid of everything. We don't want anything to do with you guys anymore. And we're like, okay, that's weird. Things were working, but that's fine. That happens, right? We're going to go with this other marketing company. And we said, great. That they've been working with for some time. So they went through, they deleted everything. We got rid of all the site files. We got rid of all the marketing data that was performing really well, all of that, like everything. We nuked everything that we had access to at their request. And because we just don't keep it on file and stuff unless there's a reason to keep it on file. Well, a month or two later, they come back and they said, whoops, we didn't mean to do that. I misunderstood the doctor. Can we get everything back? And we were like, no, you can't. Can we start again and you rebuild everything? No, like you're not going to get the same results anymore that you were getting before. Everything went out the door because the person that was managing the marketing didn't understand like basic marketing and also didn't understand what the doctor was actually talking about. And today I got Dr. Ben with me today. And I think that story pretty much sums up the topic that we're going to be talking about today, is that you shouldn't be outsourcing 100% of your marketing. And Dr. Ben, why don't you start us off and kind of explain your book and this topic that you go over in your book?
Yeah. So the book is called The 7-Figure Practice Blueprint. So it kind of walks doctors through the foundational elements of how to be a healthcare entrepreneur. Because a lot of us are dentists who own a job instead of an entrepreneur who's running a business. And a big portion of the book we actually talk about is marketing. The last third of the chapter is marketing and patient acquisition. And the big topic that we start that section with is be your own CMO, your own chief marketing officer, right? And what that means is from a high level, you need to be understanding and guiding the messaging that is being sent to the public about who you are and what you do. And if you as the dentist just say, hey, find me new patients, and you say this to your front desk or even directly to your marketing company, and then you wash your hands of it and just get frustrated when you don't have new patients, it's not the advertising company's fault because they don't have enough to go on, right? You've got to create your own vision and your own mission and core values and understand who you are and what you represent and give that information to your marketing team so that they have the opportunity to create the ads, to create the messaging and the website that reflect who you are.
So one of the big problems that I've seen, and you said, we were talking about this before we got on, is like, we've tried to work through this with people before, right? And they're just like, I don't know, you're the marketing company, you tell me. So a lot of doctors don't know where they're going. I have some different ways that I've seen work over the years. How do you walk somebody through? If someone right now is listening to this and they go, yeah, that's great, but I don't even know where to even start with a lot of that. Where do you actually start from your opinion?
Great question. So a big part of it comes from writing your own perfect Google review. Write a really, really long Google review. What is that patient saying about the practice, about their experience, about what they had done, right? And that Google review will then help guide how you want to communicate and draw those patients in, right? So that's kind of a foundational, at least get that kind of worksheet item taken care of. And that will help guide that vision and help them answer some of the other questions that a marketing company might be asking.
And maybe this ties into that. So one of the ways that I've seen people work through this is like they start at who's an ideal patient clinically.
Right. So we call that the patient avatar or the ideal patient, right? So that is when you close your eyes, it's like, man, if I could only fill my schedule with Judy, right? Judy is my avatar. She's a recently retired New Englander who sold her house and moved to our area to spend more time with her grandkids at the beach. And she's finally ready to take care of herself.
Yes. So even before that, because dentists don't typically think that way. I've never really met a dentist when I bring up avatars that starts with what you just said. Where they always start is, I want more implants.
Yeah, very, very procedural based.
So, and I think that's where you have to start, right? I think for a dentist, when you're talking to a dentist, start there, right? So it's like, okay, so who are we actually talking about? We're talking about implants. And then it's like, okay, well, who needs implants in your area? And then it's the person that you're building out, which I love that. Like, okay, now we have these markers on this person. So it's not just a clinical thing. It's now a marker on that thing. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, it's stacking on top of that now what makes you different for that individual?
We've started procedural. Like I love doing, full mouth rehab on patients who have been, seen by a orthodontist for the last 20 years and they need a lot of rehab and they're looking to get it fixed. Okay, well, now that we know the type of dentistry, who are the people in your community who have that? Right now we're talking demographics. And then we got to think, well, let me think of a patient that I've actually had. What did she like? What was she like? What was she interested in? And we can start developing that profile based on procedure and then based on the patient we're doing the procedures on. Right. And start pulling out more information on more pieces and then teasing together after all of that kind of analysis, the who, right? Because this is a person that we're trying to reach with a specific message in a specific place, right? So understanding that bigger picture of who they are, really, really important. And if you can take a doctor through, and this is something that we do with our clients, we take a doctor through that process to help them develop that. So then they can go and be proactive with their advertising company, with their marketing team to be like, all right, this is where we're going. Give me this patient. And the marketing companies, when you guys get that information, you're like, finally, now we have some ROI here. Let's work.
What are your thoughts on, as somebody's working through this, one of the questions that I get a lot of times is then the dentist is like, now 100% of my patients should be this. And that's typically just not the case, right? Like you've just built out a niche thing, your ideal situation, but it's not every patient is going to be that as they walk through.
When you're talking about like marketing and messaging, right? When we can narrow the focus of our messaging so that it's clear and concise and it's easily understood by a specific person, then there's going to be kind of a bell curve out of that. It's going to also attract people that are a little bit adjacent to that persona and a little bit adjacent to that persona. So I design my practice around Judy, right? But today I had a blue collar guy who does nothing but cut concrete all day. And he loved our practice. He gave us a 5-star review just today for pulling a tooth on. But my messaging still reached him as well, right? But if you try to be super generic, we always say, don't be beige, right? Like if you aren't differentiating yourself in any way, it's going to be hard for your messaging to stand out. And so your ROI and your ad budget is going to be really poor. So the more unique that you can be in a lot of different ways, I have a dog in my practice, right? She practices with me every day, all day long. Comes chairside with me. She lays on my patients. Like we're the dog practice, right? My brother asked me, he's like, well, what if people don't like dogs? I'm like, even worse, what if they like cats? So that's the thing is like, we have to attract people who are like us and want to be near us, right? And so the more unique your messaging and your branding and that type of thing that reflects who you are authentically, the more you're going to attract patients that you want to be around.
How do you walk through someone being unique? Because here's the next problem that I face. Dentists, we say, okay, give us 3 uniques. That's something that we usually ask. And they're typically 3 uniques are, our office is really clean. I went to college and like I really care about clinical stuff a lot. And what we usually have to explain to people is like, okay, those are assumptions. Like it would be like me putting on my website, we don't lie to you, we won't punch you in the mouth, and you know what I mean? It's like, okay, well, I was kind of already hoping for my marketing company. I was under the assumption that you wouldn't punch us in the mouth. So it's like, it's almost like every dentist starts at the things that they care about are assumptions that patients assume every dentist is doing anyways.
100%. Yeah, those are all kind of like barriers to entry, like clean office, practice with integrity, high quality, right? Everybody should be doing that. So the unique things are reflective of who you are outside of dentistry. Take the white coat off, get rid of Dr. Friberg, and it's now, who is Ben, right? So I love nature, I'm outdoorsy, I love dogs and all things animals. So, we have a partnership with an organization that trains service dogs, and we bring puppies into our practice once a month. We have all natural lighting and plants everywhere to bring the outside into our practice to reflect my love of nature, right? Those are the things that make us unique. I'm really kind of a goofy guy, and I tell dad jokes all the time. And so my marketing, I've got a YouTube channel, my Instagram, I've got really, really bad jokes. And so those are things that we use to communicate who I am and who we are as a team and our culture. Because guess what? As everybody knows, nobody cares about my crown margin, right? Because they don't know, they don't have the capacity to know, nor should they. But what they do know is that I'm an authentic, goofy guy that's approachable, that they can trust, right? So that's when we're talking unique. Like that's what we need to harness and get these doctors to realize. Like, who are you? Take the white coat off. Who's the guy that your friends know on a Friday afternoon, not what your team knows on a Monday morning?
Got it. And then from there, okay, so now I know clinically what I want to do. I know the patient that ties to that clinical skill set that I can imagine. And then I've now pulled that out and brought it into the market of, okay, where do these people live, work, et cetera, income levels. And then now I have something like a working, breathing thing to pull off of. Now, do you work with I'll kind of give you the next problem that I run into. It's like, there's a lot of misconceptions, or especially in dental, around like, okay, so I want high income patients to come in and do, full arch. And it's like, well, in that particular market, there's less people, they're high income, they can afford full arch, but they, clinically speaking, they've taken care of their teeth like really, really well. So they don't want to rip out all their teeth and put all brand new teeth in. They've actually have a really high dental IQ versus like, well, these middle-class patients, they need way more bread and butter dentistry done. You know what I mean? Because they don't have as high of a dental IQ. So like, how do you kind of think through that?
Yeah, well, with the full arch case, it's the unicorn, right? Where they walk in and they go, yeah, I want upper and lower all on X's, and here's 70 grand, right? Like that happens, right? But it is not, that's the exception, not the rule. When you're talking about income and IQ and that type of thing, is yes, higher affluent people tend to have taken better care of their teeth for the long term. So they're less likely to need that type of care. So we need to be able to find really creative financing options and look for other ways to help individuals who actually have the need, but not the income, bridge that gap, right? And I think that your ability to offer financing is part of your marketing advertising thoughts, right? That's an ability to kind of close that treatment plan with them, is having that as part of your marketing and advertising, right? It's like flexible payment options, we finance, like that. Those are things that people live month to month, payment to payment. That's how they buy cars. That's how they buy their large, appliances in their homes, right? It's month to month. So we need to be meeting our patients in that space.
Yeah, I just read recently that Uber Eats and these companies are all doing financing for food now. And it's just like dentists still don't have financing, which is crazy, right? Like, and then using it and all those kind of things. And again, that ties back into the avatar. It's like, does your patient want patient financing, the ideal person that you're working with? And it's like, well, yeah, they do, but they can put it on credit cards, or they can do this, and it's like, well, no. That's not what I'm asking, right? Like, no one wants to walk into the dentist and then say, oh, you owe, $5,000-$10,000 or whatever, and then not be given options. Like everybody, I want that. You know what I mean? I can pay cash for it, but I want all of my options. And I don't want to have to come up with my own financing. So that's another example of like figuring that out in your avatar and then delivering it. And that can make you really different too. Like that one thing can make you hugely different because most dentists just haven't adopted patient financing. So there's like these moats of opportunities. Another one I think of, and I'm just like, I want to exercise people's brains here. Another one is like seeing patients same day. Call in, come in today, come in tomorrow. That's a competitive advantage. It used not to be when I first got in dental. Is like, that was kind of, there was a lot of people doing that. Now it's like average time to appointments 3 weeks. What are some other things that you think that are just like huge opportunities that people could work into them being unique?
I mean, great point on the same day visit, same day care, right? We're at a point now where the adoption of scanning and milling in office should be pretty high on people's lists. The public now knows that exists. And so there are patients now who are selecting doctors just based on same day dentistry.
But it's important you package that way, right? Because it's like, they don't care that you have a mill. Like if you put on your website, I have a mill.
And that's a great point. Don't advertise the feature, advertise the benefit, right? I don't care about a V8. I care about 500 horsepower that gets you super fast and girls are going to love it, right? Like benefits, not features. Yeah, I think that same day dentistry is a big point. Financing options are huge. Depending on the competitiveness of your market, being open after hours, right? Having one evening or a weekend, if you're really, really competitive, we're trying to grow.
I've seen mornings absolutely crush. Like everybody wants those 6 a.m., 7 a.m. spots in the morning before school, before work on the way in.
That's right. Yeah. And, given our current economic climate and changes going, people having to go back to the office and stuff like that, being flexible is going to be really, really important moving forward, I think.
Yeah. Office hours are a huge one. Here's another one that I've ran into recently. I'm just interested in your thoughts on it. Dentists are really struggling financially and they're trying to figure out what's going on. And I look into their hygiene department, just like surface level. I'm not an expert at it by any means, but it's like, oh yeah, your hygiene, you're booked months out. Like we can't get a new patient in even if you wanted to. And then we're like, are the patients that you're seeing, are these all like patients that you're doing treatment on? And it's like, no, we're just collecting like $500 from their insurance each time. And it's like, okay, that's cool, but you're missing out on thousands of dollars of treatment every single time because you did a good job, doc. Like you did your job. You fixed all their dental problems. So now they're just coming back and just maintaining, right? They're just getting the oil change done, so to speak, at the mechanic. You already changed the tires. You already changed out the motor, the windshield. Everything's been done. And now you can't get new patients into your hygiene schedule because of that. Have you ran into that? Have you been seeing that more and more?
Yeah, I mean, it's the curse of the good dentist, right? Like they trust you, they like you, they've done all the work that they need, and now you've got a healthy patient. So two ways that, this is a big problem that we have faced in our practice. And so one thing we did is that we realized that we were booked out too far, both in hygiene and doctor side. So we started looking at our insurances, right? This is the great opportunity now to start reducing your dependence on bad paying insurances, which is going to naturally clean out low profit, low margin dental work and hygiene work, right? So that opens up the schedule for more profit.
So how did you do it? Like what exactly did you do on that? I'd love to learn that.
So we analyzed all of our insurance payers using our top 25 codes. So you take your top 25 codes that you bill every month and then multiply those by 10. And then you punch in your reimbursement rate by insurance.
For hygiene or for all
top 25, including hygiene, including fillings, crowns, extraction. That's going to give you and then you compare that versus what your normal fees were going to be, right? Your fee for service fees versus your insurance reimbursement fees. It's going to give you your average write-off percentage based on insurance provider. And who's ever the worst insurance reimbursement, we had one that was 36%, right? So we were giving away over 35% of our revenue to that insurance relationship. So we went out of network. And now those patients either are now full fee patients or they've opened our schedule up to bring new, better paying patients in. And we've just methodically been doing that over the last 2 years as we continue to fill in. We create new space. We fill it in with better paying patients. And our production went from 2.1 to 1.8, but our collections went from 1.4 to 1.6. So we had a $750,000 write-off in 2022. And now we're down to a $300,000 write-off in 2024 through that process. So less dentistry, more collections, much higher profit.
That's smart. That's really, really good. I love that. And the way you did it, it opens up opportunities. And what you have to do, one key, because I already know what people will do here, they'll do all that and then they'll let their team put healthy patients back in those spots. So you have to block out your schedule and say, no, these are only for new patients, right?
Yeah, and you also have SRPs too, right? Because, that's high profit hygiene is gum therapy, right? And so we've got this new patient flow now. We've made the room, but we got to keep the space too for for actual treatment in our hygiene call. The stopgap for being overbooked in hygiene is on the doctor's side. Say, hey, Dr. Friberg wants to meet you first to make sure you get the most appropriate care and the most efficient use of your time. So you'll meet with the doctor for 30 to 40 minutes before you get your cleaning. You'll likely have a cleaning on a different day, but this is going to let us get you seen instead of in 3 to 4 weeks. It's going to let you get seen this week. And so that way we can start getting patients, we can capture them when they want to be seen, and then work them into a 30-minute hygiene spot whenever those pop up.
That's great. And then what's the name of your book again?
It's called The 7-Figure Practice Blueprint: How to Lead, Manage, and Market a Fulfilling Practice.
Awesome. And then how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about what you're doing or get your book and all that kind of stuff?
So the easiest way is through my website, which is www.drbenfriberg.com. That's Friberg. And that has access to my speaking, my coaching, and then the book.
Awesome. Well, this is really, really good. I enjoyed this episode and learned a couple new things that I always love when I get new ideas to try to help people clear their schedule, be more successful, be more profitable all across the board. So great stuff today.
Awesome. Thanks, Gary.